I have decided to discuss Parkinson's disease for my second assignment. Parkinson's disease is a disorder of the brain. It's gradual and it affects your balance and your coordination. I decided to discuss Parkinson's disease because I did have a family member who was affected by Parkinson's disease, and although I didn't really know much about it, even though he had it, I still kind of saw how he was affected and what he went through. I've also seen clients at the gym that would have different neurological disorders and would come in and they wanted a trainer. And so I could just see how some of those disorders affected them at the gym. And I know Parkinson's is just an example of one of the disorders that they may have had. So how this relates to my career, I plan on being a part-time personal trainer. So I don't want to do it all the time. I don't want that to be my full-time job, but I would like to do that on the side. And with that, there could be a possibility of a client that might come in and they may have some neurological disorder, and that disorder could be Parkinson's disease. So that is something that I would need to do research on and I would need to know about in order to effectively prescribe my client the correct exercise prescription. And so that is how it does relate to my career, and that is why I chose to discuss it. There are several other neurological disorders. There's just so many that you can't really talk about all of them, and so that's why I just chose one. But there may be another client that may have something other than Parkinson's disease. I just chose to discuss Parkinson's disease because it's just one of many. So what does the research say about Parkinson's disease? I found some research to talk about the symptoms and who is affected really by Parkinson's disease, and I found that from the National Institute of Aging. And then I also found some research that had to do with how exercise can affect Parkinson's disease, and that was just a research study that was done. So some of the symptoms of Parkinson's disease, the main symptoms, those are tremors or shaking. So there will be shaking of the hands, shaking of the arms, legs, shaking of the head. There's also stiffness, kind of just stiffness in the trunk and the limbs. And then they also have impaired balance and coordination. So that impaired balance and coordination and those symptoms, all those other symptoms, it can kind of lead to them falling and having a difficulty with them walking and just their gait in general. So it's who gets the disease. Most of the people who get the disease and then are affected, they're around the age of 60 when they are affected by the disease. And there are cases of more early onset. This can be to 50, it can be below 50, but there are more cases of early onset. Most of them are just with people who are 60 and older. So actually, men are affected more than women are. About 50%, according to the source that I found, the National Institute of Aging talked about it. About 50% men are affected, about 50% more than women are actually affected. So kind of to discuss more about the gait, the research study I found was done on patients with Parkinson's disease. They went through a study, and the study was based on their gait. There was a control group, and they went through a study where they did a 10-week progressive resistance training program. And so just throughout those 10 weeks, they did progressive resistance training. And after they were done with the program, they actually had improvements in muscular strength. They saw significant improvements in their muscular strength. And along with that, their gait initiation improved. And so their walking improved. And that's just how the study went. And that's just one example of how exercise has affected those with Parkinson's disease. These are my references. I found my information on who is affected and kind of what Parkinson's disease really is and the symptoms from the National Institute on Aging. And then for how exercise has affected Parkinson's disease, I just found a research study, and that study was called Progressive Resistance Training Improves Gait Initiation in Individuals with Parkinson's Disease, and that is my research.